Hi all, my name's Erica, aka ECR Horses 1901, and as you can probably gather, today's video is going to be something quite different. As you may or may not know, I am gearing up to attend Are You Kitten Me live at the end of April, and this is the first really big open horse show that I will be competing in. So I figured I would do a video about the mountains of preparation that I have been doing to get ready and get my horses ready and get my records ready for this type of event. This is Larry. He is my kitty who survived the rat poison earlier this year. He really wants to be a part of this video. So first of all, the very first thing I did to, I guess you could say, get ready for this year was make sure that I got a spot at the show. I believe it won, and again, as usual, please correct me if I am wrong in the comments. I believe that Are You Kitten Me Live won some kind of a NAMSA award for being like the best show or something last year. So I knew it was going to be one of those situations where if you were not there as soon as entries went live, you might miss your spot. So I wrote the date in my work calendar and I made sure that my name was in, my entry form was in as fast as possible. And I believe that that was last December. I recently had to go back through my work calendar for something and I saw it on there. So yeah, if you are interested, I can't promise that it's going to be at the same time this year, but it was sometime last December that I had to be ready to sign up. All right, so as soon as I knew that I was going to be going, I downloaded all of the materials about the show. Sorry, I definitely am not used to doing this type of video. It's very weird and very new. The way that I approached it, Larry, this is not the Larry show right now. I know you would like it to be, and we probably could start a whole channel for you, but I am trying to do a thing here. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, and so I just took a look through the class list, and there's a wide range of classes here. I mean, you got the OF Briars, Trad Classic, Stablemate Mini Size, you got the same for Peter Stone. There's a whole bunch for the custom and artist resins, which I certainly am not qualified to go into a lot of detail on, as well as China. The medallions are here. Really the only other division that I do pay attention to is the other plastic, because I do have a fair amount of Heartlands. So yeah, everything is here. It's a very, very comprehensive show list. And so what I did to start is I just went through class by class and wrote down the names of the horses that I already owned. That's kind of the key thing here for this first pass, that I thought, yeah, I could compete those horses in the class. Just to kind of get a sense of, well, you know, I already have tons of horses in this block, so that's covered, but, you know, I still have like 0 Arabians and 0 Morgans. It was just a way of seeing what holes I had in my collection and where, if I did want to invest some money in kind of filling some of those gaps, you know, what did I need? What could I get? So that brings us to part number 2. And by the way, I definitely want to say that this is my own kind of convoluted approach to doing this. I am not saying that this is the best approach to doing things. I am not saying that this is how you should necessarily approach getting ready for a large show. I like to make things into many steps. And this is not just for model horse stuff. I tend to be this way for some of my job tasks as well. Again, this is my video, so this is my process. So once I saw the horses that I already felt that I definitely had for each of these classes, that is when I went through and went back through the course list, but this time also had my overall wish list in mind. One thing that I do have, is a wish list of horses that I keep. And so basically, I was going to use this show as a good excuse to say, hey, Rushmore over here has been on my wish list for a while. I don't really have any good quarter horse models, and I feel like he could be a good one, so maybe this is a real good excuse for me to get a copy of Rushmore. I'm mainly concentrating on OF Breyer, and mainly the traditional scale for this too. But yeah, that's what I did. I just saw where I had holes. I tried to line up some of the divisions and classes where I had 0 horses with horses that I had on my wish list. Then I had a list of, okay, if I want to buy myself some new models in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming months, because I started doing this probably in December, after I knew that I was going to be going to the show. And so this enabled me to be really strategic with the horses that I knew that I was going to be searching for in the upcoming months. Well, viewer, I'm here to tell you that time passed. Larry's here too, again. And, I had a very ambitious list of models that I hope to acquire. And I should say too that some of the models that I had put on my wish list were kind of rare, but some of them weren't too bad. I mean, there were a few that would cost me, I think the most expensive models that I had put on my to seek out list would probably be in like the $400 to $500 range, but most of them weren't. So I was pretty psyched and thought that I'd be able to get a good bunch of them. Well, things just didn't align. I don't know why. I eventually even winnowed down my list a little bit. All right, Larry, you can't want to be a part of this and then go away. All right, thank you. I did end up winnowing down my list just because when I added up the approximate cost that if I was going to get every one of the horses would be, despite most of them not being that expensive, it was going to add up. And I also was running into the fact that some of these horses just weren't out there. I put my wish list out on, I believe I put it on the Region 10 Facebook group. I was constantly seeking out these horses on every single board and site that I know of that sells model horses. And with the exception of just a very few... Larry, where are you going? This boy. Okay, just me again. And yeah, it just turned out that I was having 0 luck locating a lot of these horses. I also had kind of set myself a cutoff time because, and this is, again, just a me thing. I didn't want to be running around ordering horses through, like, March. I wanted to make sure that the group of horses that I had was settled a few months beforehand. So I also was not working with a really large time range as far as trying to find all these different horses. I think that this is when, and I've gotten into this a little bit in some of my videos, that I decided that, you know what, my Breyers are what they are. And I should mention too that I did get several of the horses from my wish list, so it wasn't a total bust, but I definitely did not get nearly as many as I had started out hoping to. But instead, I ended up really going all in, I should say, on Heartland. I've really grown a fondness for them, and I have mentioned and shown them in the past in some of my haul videos, and mentioned finding them through estate sales and such. And so yeah, instead of just continuously going out there and trying to get my hands on some of these briars, I changed direction and I said, you know what? I am going to do some searching for heartlands. I also just happened to stumble across some pretty decent ones. I don't really want to go into too much detail right now. I'm sure I will share at a later time what's in my collection. But I did manage to get my hands on some that I'm really excited about. And honestly, I think that if I have a chance of doing well in any division at Are You Kitten Me Live, it's probably going to be with them. And we're back in an obviously different location, aka the basement. So yeah, once I had my final roster of horses, or so I thought, there were a few more that dribbled in here and there. It was time to figure out what my documentation needs were going to be. And so for that, I created yet another list. Apologies if the lighting is not the best in here. But anyway, so this is just one page of the document that I created. As you can see, we'll just stop here. Every horse has their name, and then I put down if they either have or need a breed doc, a collectability doc, and a leg tag, because even though I'm in region 10 where we have standardized leg tags, there is a different leg tag requirement for Are You Kitten Me Live. So even if I were to use my region 10 tags, I would have to, I think, put my initials on one side. I don't know. I just decided that I was going to make all of my horses a brand new leg tag, which isn't honestly that huge of a deal. So the first time I made this list, I put down everything that the horse was going to need. Obviously some horses, you know, Mary Prank's Hair number 46, the top horse, is a model that's pretty obviously the breed that it's meant to be. So for that horse, I don't have breed documentation, but it does have a certain amount of collectability, hence why he has the collectability doc listed underneath him. So I listed what everybody needed, and then if they did already have it created, I would check it off. So for example, pretty much all of the horses on this page have shown before, so this was a pretty easy lot. I was able to just go through my binder, which I will show you in a few minutes, and just check off that yes, this horse has its breed doc, yes, this horse has its collectability doc. So yeah, this was a pretty easy group. The only other thing that you might see listed on some of these if you were to look is this binder doc. And so that is referring to kind of the Bible that I keep for my show horses, and let me show you what that refers to. Okay, so again, sorry for the weird shadows. This is my huge binder that every horse that I show has an entry in, and basically what I do, this is where I basically keep all of my records. Let's see, who would be a good one to show? Yeah, I guess let's do causing a commotion here. So every horse has kind of the same information, and there's honestly not a lot of rhyme or reason to why I picked this information. Someday I might redo this and include some different things or take out some different things, but I put their region 10 number, their show name, their model number, the model name, and the mold that it's on. There's always a picture of the model, and these in most cases are not pictures that I have taken. They're usually just from Identify Your Briar or one of the other reference sites that are out there. I put in a little bit of a description about the horse, including if there's any collectability information. And then if the horse is not actively showing, this is where its leg tag goes. And you can see that in this case, the horse has an extra tag in here because that's the one that I will be filling out with his Are You Kitten Me Live details. And then on the other side of this page is where I actually keep the different documentation documents. So there's his collectability one. I actually do have one for his breed and color, just because buckskin I don't think is super common for Peruvian Pasos. And then he has a COA, so that stays in here as well. And any ribbons that this horse wins, for now, I've been keeping ribbons in here. This was starting to become really unwieldy and really extra thick. Not necessarily because, oh, all my horses have got so many ribbons, but some of the ones that I've bought have come with ribbons, or sometimes they were not just flat ribbons, so that was adding extra bulk. So I actually have started transitioning the ribbons, instead of staying in here, into different fold-out holders. And I'll add too that I put the horses in this binder in roughly whatever order they will be showing in. So Marengo, I stubbornly show as a Polish Arabian. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the Arabian classes are first for Are You Kitten Me Live, so that's why he's up near the front. And then so forth and so on. Obviously, you know, we all know how shows go. Things can change in a moment's notice. So I do the best I can. Stablemates come a little bit later. And then further on are my Heartlands, because they are at the end of the day. But again, I do like having them roughly in the order that I can expect to show them. And right now, any horse that I own that has showed previously but who is not going to Are You Kitten Me Live, they do have this binder dock, but it's in a separate binder, which is just going to stay at home. And for any horses that are in my collection that I just own, who aren't necessarily show horses, they don't have a binder dock because they don't really need one. To keep track of the horses that I own, I have a separate Excel document on my computer, and so that's where I keep track of every horse that I own, regardless of whether it shows or not. And if you're really interested in what I do for that, I'd be happy to share. I mean, I will say that none of what I include, I mean, this I guess is kind of my own design, but none of the information that I include in my collectability cards is necessarily original. When I went to my first show, I had no idea what I was doing, so I just looked up what other various people put on theirs, and I kind of picked the pieces of information that I thought made sense. To be honest, I am probably going to change up my collectability cards and some of the information that's on them after this show, or maybe not even after this show, but maybe next year. Because again, with my wanting to do some judge shadowing later this year, I may only have like one other show that I actually plan to attend this year. I don't know, we'll see. And if you do want more information about what I do as far as creating breed documentation or collectability documentation, I'm happy to share. Just feel free to put your request down in the comments. And that's kind of it. I have pretty much finished doing documentation for everyone. I know that there's still like maybe 4 or 5 more horses I need to create breed documentation for, but all the collectability is done. Leg tags I haven't started, but I will do that. However, I did just win a few more horses in an online auction. I don't know if they're gonna get here in time for the show or not, and I may or may not bring them. We'll see. It's just, I think that I have something like 80 horses going already, which is so much. This is by far the largest amount of horses I've taken to any show. In fact, we were saying hopefully we're still going to have room for all the luggage slash cooler slash everything else we're going to need for this road trip. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna actually try to take any more. So yeah, really other than getting the last bits of documentation ready, the next big hurdle of preparing to go to the show is going to be packing, which is going to be quite interesting. I did buy a few stablemate size pony pouches at the last swap meet that I was at. I ordered more traditional size pony pouches, but man, they are expensive. I did not realize how expensive they can be. I think I only have like 5 coming, which clearly is not going to cover even a portion of who I'm taking, and that costs quite a bit of money. So we actually went to our local Joann, which is still in the going out of business process. I don't think it's fully closed yet. We went there a few weeks ago and picked up some felt. Problem is, we don't have a sewing machine, so we're not really going to be able to create anything more than like very, very primitive pouches. And even then, the amount of fabric that we picked up, it's still not going to be enough for all the horses we're bringing. Mind you, the horses that are packed away down here, I do keep them wrapped in bubble wrap, but after what happened with Benelli, I'm like, I don't trust bubble wrap anymore. I'm very, very nervous about keeping my horses wrapped up that way. So eventually, even if it does come down to buying a sewing kit, or a sewing machine rather, and learning how to make my own pony pouches, eventually that is what I want to do, because even for the horses that I don't show, I don't like keeping them in bubble wrap. I can't say that that's for sure what ended up scratching Benelli, but it pains me that he's not coming to the show with us, because he's been one of my most consistently high placers, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt when the OF UK draft class comes up and my Benelli's not there. Okay, so that's been a video about my preparation for Are You Kitten Me Live. I am so looking forward to going. I wish that this week was next week, because I don't want to wait too much longer. And on the other hand, I feel like I still have quite a bit to do. So it probably is better that we have this additional time. But as I said, if you are at all interested in my process of creating my documentation, if you would like to know more about that Excel file that I use to kind of catalog my entire collection, not just the show horses, if I can go into detail about anything that you've seen in this video in a future video, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna try to have a video ready to come out next Monday. Will probably be another F tier video, if you remember my doing that, although I will not spoil and tell you which model it's going to be. The only thing I will say is it's not an F tier model that I've previously mentioned me doing a video for. Okay, I picked up a random guy at an antique store a couple of weeks ago, and we're gonna go with him. I guess it being a stallion or gelding is your only hint. So that will probably be the next video, and I am going to try to take footage during Are You Kitten Me Live. My husband will be there with me. Perhaps he'll take some footage, but we'll see, because I have tried taking footage and doing like a show video before, and again, if you've done live if you've done live model showing, you know what it's like. And you know that you start the day like ready to go, and as the hours press on, you kind of start dragging by the end of the day. I can't really promise how complete of a video there will be, but there will be something. Let's put it this way. In any case, I will definitely do some kind of wrap-up video about this experience. So I hope if you enjoyed today's video, you will hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. As you can probably hear, we have a lot of great videos that will be coming out very soon. And with all that said, I will see you next time.